And this way I look at it. I think that human beings are designed to be living in small groups.
Mm-hmm.
They like a sense of belonging.
Right.
And so they grow up with each other, and they know each other. By the time you come of reproductive age, which is when we start marrying, you kind of know who you're going to be ending up with.
Right.
They know you, you know them, and you carry on, and things are not so complicated. It's bad enough there, but that's the model that we already designed to go for. What happens instead,
We live in these enormous groups.
but we move and we shift around.
Right.
And so therefore, here we are, let's say at age 22,
Right.
find yourself into a different city, you find someone you like, now you have 22 years of history that this person does not know about.
Right.
That somehow you need to, in this instant intimacy moment, they're supposed to just get and accept.
And nobody knows how to do that, do they?
Exactly.
So, do you teach them how to do that?
Yeah, I think part of working in relationships is a lot of education.
Right.
Education about who you are with yourself and how that may be accepted or rejected by someone else.
Is there a core kind of description of what you do to help people with these sexual relationships? I mean, I know it takes a long time to sit down and do the work,
Yes.
but if you were to describe it, let's say, to a potential customer out there, a client,
Yeah.
how would you describe it? What you could do for
Okay.
them?
What I would do is I would first work on demystifying sex.
Okay.
Okay. And what I mean by that is to help people get rid of their false notions. That's a strong word to call them false notions. Maybe a better word to still use.
Strong words are okay with me.
Right, okay.
I don't
Nurtured notions.
Okay.
False notions about what sex is supposed to deliver.
Okay.
And what that amounts to is basically that sex is a vehicle with way too many passengers.
Explain that.
Yeah. Well, there's so much expected from the Sex Act
Okay.
that the Sex Act could never live up to. I mean, thus the earth is supposed to shake, the stars are supposed to start sparkling like crazy,
Okay.
bells are supposed to go off, and now you'll be happy forever after. It's supposed to fix everything.
But people have been hearing this for years. Should they just say that's nonsense and forget about it?
No, I think that's something that you work towards.
Ah.
See, I think that's not something that sex will deliver on its own. It needs you to participate. It needs you to understand. It needs you to understand yourself. It needs you to understand your partner. It needs you to allow yourself to be understood by your partner. And now we get into something called lovemaking rather than
Right.
sex.
Do you think that on both levels, lovemaking and sex, both those two different things which you've been centering on, that we have adequate training without professionals out there? In other words, everybody has a sex organ
Yes.
and thinks they can use it. What about that? Do you think people really, really know? And should there be more education?
I have this theory.
Yes.
I think that if we never talked about it at all,
Mhm.
I think people would figure it out quite fine. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think it's by talking about it and creating these expectations.
Ah.
Because the reality is, if you love someone, the chemistry is there, you'll figure it out.
Okay.
It's not that big of a mystery.
So you're saying, if I'm wrong, please help me with this, that not only is good sex in your head, but bad sex is in your head.
Yes. And
So it's all up here. This is your biggest sex organ.
absolutely, what's between the ears is, I'm sort of in term, but I won't use it here. But, yes.
I do have a large
yeah.
size head.
Yeah.
I wear a big head. I don't know if that makes any difference to anybody.
That's people used to look at shoe size.
Well, there you go. I wear a
Brain
7
size.
I wear a 7 3/4 hat. I sometimes have trouble finding hats.
Uh-huh.
So, but I don't want any calls, ladies and gentlemen. I am married happily.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in between the ears. In other words, it's how you think and how you relate to your partner and how you feel about your partner, what you know to do and what you are willing to accept, all those things.
Yeah, I think sex is really exciting if you allow yourself to be innocent about it.
Innocent.
Yeah, and I think, but I mean, that is to be innocent about, like, inquisitively innocent, and be safe enough with your partner to talk about it, and
Right.
to listen to your partner, and to tell each other what is really exciting,
Right.
and how it makes you feel. And it's this not just the physical part,
Mhm.
but the emotional part, how connected you feel, how maybe unconnected you feel, because when you don't feel that you're being tended to,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And sadly, what we found in our research, when I feel that, although we talk about sex a lot, and there are thousands of sex books out there and what have you,
Right.
many women, if not too many, and many have no idea what men are really all about sexually.
You mean physically
And-
from
yeah,
a...
physically, yeah.
Okay.
And many men, if not most men, don't know what women are about physically. And this is just the mechanical, physical part of it.
Well, let's start with that.
Yeah.
Let's just look at that for a minute. So we have a should we call it ignorance about the mechanical, physical parts of the other party?
Yeah, but
Or is that a bad word?
no, ignorance is a good word, but it's a particular type of ignorance. It's almost a desired ignorance. There's a fear involved in
Right.
the mystery.
Well, you know what? Usually ignorance and fear are related.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually,
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, our fear to be afraid to learn
Yeah.
something, and our ignorance keeps us that way. So, with all these books out there, with manuals, and I haven't gone through your book thoroughly, but you're giving all kinds of unusual things. Here's bondage, for example, talking dirty, anal sex, oral pleasure, tantric sex, Kama Sutra, positions to try at your own risk, their entry position, woman on top, missionary position. Many of these people perhaps have never tried any of these things.
That's true, and that's why this book was written in such a way to make it accessible, instead of making it a dirty thing to do or a socially unacceptable thing to do. We come from the premise that anything that happens between two people that they want to do.
This is a question that's bothering me, and you're bringing up something that I've contemplated many times. I don't know if you have the answer, but I would like to discuss it with you. Why do people think that sex is dirty?
Because our parents told us so.
All right. Now we know the parents told them, but where did they get it?
Well, the parents, that's a very good question. My original dissertation was on childhood sexual abuse.
Okay.
And what I found there is that the abuse that a sexual abuse victim suffers from society after the abuse is greater than the actual abuse. Now let me explain that a little
Yeah.
bit here. So let's take a woman who's been raped
Right.
as a typical victim. There's something that the society kind of concludes about this woman that looks down upon her for being raped because she must have done something to cause it to happen.
So here's the case of the victim, which we always blame the victim, but the victim is blaming herself as well.
And
Yes,
society
we've seen
helps
that.
along.
And society helps along because if she wasn't a bad person, she wouldn't have been where she would have gotten raped.
Now,
Okay.
conversely, a prostitute is almost respected. In that, I mean, not that they respect it across the board, but in comparison to a rape victim, a prostitute, well, just did it for money, did it by choice, knew how to make that work for her, yada yada yada.
Right.
Then we get into, of course, why they became a prostitute. But what I'm
Another
saying is,
story.
yeah. So that's one thing. So now, adults have real trouble talking about sex. And most adults are insecure with their own sexuality. So here
Right.
comes children as a result of their sexuality anyway, because that's how we got here, right?
Right.
And the children ask, why are boys and girls different? When you get old enough, we'll tell you about it. Don't talk about it now. And then they touch themselves, and that's dirty, because don't forget, our genitalia is to urinate with, so therefore that's not a clean thing.
Right.
So it automatically is made dirty. It's a dirty thing to discuss, dirty thing to touch, dirty thing to even contemplate.
Right.